Alright guys, we're going to go back and look at what I did today. Today was not a pretty day for me. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about it. What I want to do is go back. You want to talk about distraction between having both of my parents here and the housekeeper showing up today. It probably wasn't the best day for me to go ahead and try and trade. I marked some today. I felt like a lot of them were really, really late. So let's go back to this first one that I marked. It was pulling off of the support here. The EMAs were crossing over, pulling to the upside. It was right as market opened. Didn't have a whole lot of room to go. I hear my washing machine sound like it's trying to kill somebody. I exited, well, and none of these are real, obviously. They were just ones that I was looking at an exit as it was reaching the long-term EMA. When it came back down, I did see an opportunity here. I did not touch anything with that. I looked at the long again at this point. I just felt like everything was really, really late for me today. There was a lot of strength, long pull back, and a very, very quick exit when it slowed down. So, you know, I'm not taking these trades, but I am marking them in real time as they're happening. This one, God, I really wanted to grab that one. The way it pulls back, and just, I really think my dad walked up to me and started talking right at that moment. And sorry, Dad, if you're listening, it's just tough to trade and talk to people at the same time. It doesn't really work. Oh, and I realize you can't see all of this chart. Let me see if I can move this around just a little bit to encompass just a little bit more of this. There we go. And then a real late exit. So let's get into what I actually did. Here we go. All right. Time to face the music. Today was my worst trading day in a very long time. I did end up positive, and I'm pretty sure I put a note on here somewhere. There we go. I did end up positive, but it was work for it. I almost ended with a negative day. There's the tea kettle. So in this section, I think I just got a little bit, what's the word I want to use? Antsy, jumped the gun just a little bit. So the first short was, I was looking at this right here going, okay, this could push down, be beautiful. I moved my risk in to a point pretty quickly. I didn't want to, because of the area that I was at, which was this, you know, the long-term and the short-term EMA on the 1597. You're right between the long-term and the short-term EMA on the 610. At that point in time, you're above the zero line on the 4181, and you do have MACDs just starting to slow down on the 10946. So anticipations were to go down. I just wasn't on the ball with grabbing the right entry. So I tried it once again. Once we got up here, it pulled down, and I moved my risk in really tight again. Had I left my risk right above here, I would have been just fine and not had a loss at all. But my first one, I lost a point on each contract, so that's 2 points. The next one, I lost half a point, which was a point. So by this time, I'm down 3 points, and I'm going, you know what? I'm done for the day, and I didn't want to do anything else. And everybody left the house. The housekeepers were upstairs. It was quiet, and I had a minute to think. It pulled back and gave me a really, really gorgeous area for the short. So it is happening, you know, after the beginning of the move, which the beginning of the move happens way back here, which is right here at the area of the long-term EMA on the 4181. So that's really where the move starts to take place. As it was sitting right here, I'm just going, man, this is just sitting here, sitting here, sitting here. MACDs are pushing down. It's giving me a bunch of tiny little dots. It's time to roll. So I didn't want to get in just yet. Right here, I didn't want to get myself in the same kind of situation right here. I wanted to wait for a little bit more clear signal. I don't think I waited for a clear enough signal here. I just said, oh, that's good enough. And it really, really wasn't. So the one right here, right as it reached that top Bollinger Band, let's see here, we got the weakest of pullbacks of the MACDs here, and we have MACDs pushing down pretty strong at that point on the 4181. And I'll even draw a line on the 10946 so we can just all stay in the same spot. We were starting to get a purple MACD on the 10946. So I knew this had some potential to push down. I do believe I took my exit a little bit early because I was gun shy because of these. I was having a hard time keeping my mind off of them. And usually when that happens, I exit early. There's a lot of things that go into that. This is giving me everything I want for. Just not even paying attention. I'm not going to look at that. That's not where we're at. And so the next exit I took when the MACDs didn't really follow through. So the first time we still had some strength in the MACDs to the downside. I think it was more just a fear exit more than anything. It slowed down for a minute and I took an exit. The next one, it pulled back just a little bit and the MACDs didn't really follow through here. So I went ahead and took that exit as well. I think I may have marked, just now marked those entries. It gave that pullback that I was looking for to enter into the short trade. Beautiful. Reversal bar here. This right here is so golden. The way it's pulling outside of that Bollinger Band, rolling off the zero line. Now we have more expectations of this crossing over. I want to look at something really quick and show y'all something. I just want to go back here and look at the 10946. This is the first actual crossover of the EMAs since last month. Yeah. It's been almost an entire month since we've had a crossover of the EMAs. And you can see what happened to push it down there. I want to give just a quick look so you guys get an idea of some of the things that really I focus on. When I'm looking at the overall, I come back and look at this daily chart. And the daily chart gave a nice long reversal bar to the upside. So I said, oh, we're going to continue up. Then it gave a nice long reversal bar to the downside and continued to push down. Now you can see we have some support and resistance areas right here that have been holding just a little bit. We still have a lot of strength to the upside. The MACDs have finally cut inside of the Bollinger Band. There's really no divergence between these pivots here. I think what it might do is give us a little bit of a decent pullback, which would be wonderful to work with those EMAs right here pushing to the downside. And then maybe right in this area, see what happens and continue up. I don't know. Like I say, like I tell you guys every day, not a fortune teller. I'm just reading what the patterns are telling me and flowing with them and being as responsible as possible. Just not to get on my soapbox, but responsible trading is what most people are missing these days. They go in and just throw anything at the market and hope it works. But you can't do that. You have to be responsible. You've got to pay attention to the signals, to the slowdowns, to what it's telling you to enter and exit. And you have to pay attention to when you're not paying attention. At this point, I almost got so frustrated that I stopped. And I actually put on a little bit of yoga music and just took a couple of deep breaths and said, your anticipations, Lindsay, for this to go to the downside were absolutely correct. your execution was a little bit off because your focus is not there. And so instead of getting so frustrated that I just put it down, which had I lost on this one, I'd have put it down for the day. But I said, okay, the anticipations were still correct. I just didn't execute properly. I was not patient enough. So I waited and I waited and I waited for the proper pullback and then took my entry. And I started to create this video as it did exactly what I was anticipating here. I'm still looking at the fact that we're going just a little bit higher. But man, this is what we look for a lot of times. I think this is what causes a lot of confusion. This is what I look for. It pulled so far away from these EMAs, it's going to snap back to it. It didn't quite snap back to it here. It didn't quite snap back to it here. It pulled up here, just wasn't quite ready for the rollover, and then it happens here. As I got back from my kickboxing class, I watched this long bar happen, and then I just started putting arrows on there because I knew my focus wasn't where it needed to be in order to make money. I was sitting here with a short order just waiting here and here. Would I've gotten out on time here? I'm not 100% sure. I may have taken a small loss on it as it pulled back. When it pulls back at this point, would I've caught it? Let me see if there's any way for me to determine that. I don't think I would have. It looks like it took off pretty quickly. Yeah, I don't know that I would have caught it. And I may have been a little concerned with this Bollinger Band here as the MACD is just sitting there. Yeah. But, you know, such is life. So today, like I said, you got to take the good with the bad. You got to be prepared to show everything every day, right? And so here is today for me. I took 3 trades. I had 4 exits. I lost a point on each one in the first. I lost half a point on each one in the second. And I gained 3.5 points on my third trade. And I put it away. I think after commissions, I'm not even going to have a little bit of profit. There will actually be, after commissions, I'll probably have just a little bit of a loss. But not by much. Maybe by $5 or so. All right, well, that's it for Thursday, December 6th. And catch you on the flip side.